are talking about one of my favorite subjects, money, and more importantly, how to protect it.
You like to spend it.
I do like to spend it, but I have to have it in order to spend.
That's true.
And speaking of, we're sitting with my friends here at Security Financial Management, David, Frank. Thank you for having us.
Sure, we're happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
When I first walked in, I was blown away by really the size and the
Absolutely.
growth. How have you guys created such an amazing place here?
I think it's just, Dave and I had a vision almost 40 years ago now. And we grew up as buddies together, played basketball in Melbourne Beach, Florida, and became fast friends. And kind of one of those crazy stories that really are supposed to not happen, where you say, hey, let's do something down the road. It'd be fun to have a business one day. Yeah. Of course, you're just young kids, shooting free throws, not really meaning it. You're kind of meaning it, but you're not sure. And here it's, we're in our low
50 years
60s.
later.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
50 years later. So
You don't look old enough to have been
No,
around that long,
I know.
I'll put it that
Right.
way.
I was saying that earlier.
What is the unique, kind of unfair advantage that we have here?
That's always a great question. And I think it's sort of kind of built on what we just said. I think our unique unfair advantage is the relationships we built with our clients. Many of our clients have been with us over 3 decades, We've been at it, going on 40 years. So you get a relationship that spans 30, 35, 38 years. The unfair advantage is those people are our friends now. Mm-hmm. And so, we'll have dinner with them, we'll celebrate birthdays with them. So you build that relationship, and that would be hard for anybody to pierce because you kind of earn it over decades of hard work. And the other thing I would add to that is we built that team that we referred to earlier. We've got, several employees that are going on 20 years of service. So, that client calls and they got that same person for 10, 15, 20 years. It means a lot to feel like family. So I think it's a family feel is what our advantage is.
And David, feels like you do treat your clients like family, and you treat their money like you would treat your own family. And my fear a lot of times is people will see these commercials with these huge shops on television and call them. And my fear is they don't treat their clients' money like they would their own family. What's different here?
I would say what makes it a little different is that we know them well. We dig deeper than just, here's a portfolio, we're putting you in it. We really think about you, who you are. We understand your risk level. There's somebody that might be 80 years old and very aggressive, which is not the norm, but that does happen. And then you get a 30-year-old that's very conservative. So we get to know who you are. You don't just fit into a box.
Because we are living in a time where there's been a lot of volatility. Yep. We're obviously in a major election year this year, and people sometimes use it as an excuse, but it is a time for people sometimes to be nervous about their money. How do you manage your clients' portfolios during these volatile times?
I would say probably the number one thing is good communication, routine communication with a client. Because a lot of times if you're not in touch, then people's mind starts going all over the place. Why is Dave not calling me? Is it that he doesn't want to talk to me because the market's down? No, we run into the wind. We're going to run right into it. We're going to tell you, and we're going to tell you to not be your own worst enemy, because people will be their own worst enemy during volatile times. So think about 2020 when COVID and the economy shut down and that market dropped 30%. Well, our phones were ringing. People were nervous because the media was tearing it up. They're having a lot of fun with it. Sure. Media loves really good news or really bad news. And there was a lot of really bad news. But if you made that decision at the wrong time when the markets were down like 30%, guess what happened? It turned right around, went up, and went well beyond. So if you closed your eyes in January and woke up in December, you had a good year.
Oh, yeah.
But if you were awake, you went on a roller coaster ride. But a lot of bad decisions were made with people during that year because they said, I can't take it, and they moved out. We try to avoid that by understanding you. And because we know that person who's going to want to make those changes when it gets volatile. So you shouldn't be in that portfolio. Even though you want all the performance in the market and none of the downside, well, it doesn't go that way. You got to stay with it. In addition to being in good communication with the client, education is real key. Keeping them informed alleviates anxiety, because a lot of times what we'll do is refer back to the past. And if they say, you remember back at this time, do you remember how you reacted? Do you remember how you felt when it was over? Referring back to the past, because we do have a lot of repeating that happens. But people forget. When things get volatile, people forget, and they forget that they came out of it okay before by being patient. But education to the client is very key.
That relationship we talked about earlier, people will listen when they've been with you for decades. They feel that comfort, and they know you're telling them the truth. And I think that's what really matters.
Right. And also, timing the market is not what we do.
Right.
We find that you might get lucky every once in a while and time it right. But
hard to
in
do.
most circumstances, it's very difficult because if you're timing it, you sell out at the wrong time, when do you get back in? Normally, you're getting back in after it's already rebounded and you feel good again. Well, if you do that, it doesn't work. It doesn't bode well for your portfolio for the long
Good job,
term.
guys.
Well,
Keep up the great work.
Yeah, you definitely give them a sense of security here at Security Financial Management. We'll continue with Best of Central Florida after this short break.